We cooked up a dream phone for IShowSpeed, and it's easily one of the most insane phones we've ever come up with. We consulted the experts to go through all the features, show you the real cost and what it would look like.
We got real weird with this one.
And stay tuned for an exclusive update from the Nothing team at the end. IShowSpeed is currently one of the biggest content creators on the planet. A prolific streamer, a remarkable athlete, and a part-time politician.
You are now the ambassador.
I'm the ambassador of Peru now? Really?
Yeah.
As an IRL streamer, his lifestyle can be tough on tech. He may be an empath, but his streams lack some technological sympathy, with his phone being subject to impacts, harsh environments, and the odd explosion. We set out to design the ultimate powerhouse for a streamer, and we came up with 3 essential features to help make his life easier, starting with 3 screens. Weirdly enough, Speed is one of the rare people that actually needs a folding phone. He uses both screens to monitor Twitch and YouTube chats simultaneously. And given how much he likes watching anime, we thought we'd give him a big screen for the full experience. Foldables have come a long way in the past few years, with Huawei releasing the XT Ultimate last year. There is one big downside to this though, as my buddy Zach points out in his durability test.
I can tap the handle against the exposed bin.
The outside fold presents a significant weak point if you drop it.
We made Zach's dream phone too. Watch it after this one.
So we need to find a solution, but I'll get to that later. Modularity has always been a desire for smartphones, from the original phone blocks concept that went viral over a decade ago to the subsequent failed Project Ara by Google. We feel the strongest execution of this was the Moto mod accessories for the Moto Z. Unfortunately, these failed because the mass market appeal just wasn't there at the time. That being said, this is a bespoke device for Speed, so that shouldn't be an issue here. Plus, we just want to take a crack at it. This is where the third screen comes in. We want to add a layer of modularity and make it detachable so it can be used as its own standalone device. With its connectivity capabilities, which we'll get to soon, this breakaway section can be used as its own streaming camera, which brings us to our bonus feature, the detachable lens. On the back, we've added a magnetic ring so you can mount a separate lens inspired by this Xiaomi concept from earlier this year. This will elevate Speed's dream device from a fancy phone to a properly bespoke streaming toolkit. This breakaway section is a lot more complicated than you might think though, with each device needing its own storage, battery, and processor.
That's the most expensive part.
We considered having some kind of wireless tether to the main device, but that runs the risk of latency and some distance limitations, and to be honest, that's just not good enough for Speed's dream phone. This has some advantages too. Since the screen doesn't need to fold, it could be made of super strong sapphire crystal rather than the soft polymer of the folding screen.
Even though that costs $100.
We decided to throw in a privacy screen protector too. We'd hate for that big display to be a source of controversy.
What do you want, brother?
No, I'm sorry. I swear to God. No, I'm sorry.
Why are you calling me?
No, I swear on my life.
All this crazy tech costs money though. Hinges, lenses, modular connectivity. It's pricey. Hinges alone can cost $100 to produce, and this phone has 2 of them, so that's already $200 to the pot. Also, the folding screen itself is another $100, alongside 2 top spec processors at $200 a piece. We're already running at a total of $700. As always, we'll cover the full breakdown at the end. More importantly though, that means that when unified, this phone boasts 2 Snapdragon 8 Elite processors, 3 batteries, the best camera a smartphone can have, and a huge foldable display. For those of you that watch Speed though, this might be sounding a touch fragile. Well, worry not, we thought about that too. This thing needs to be built like a tank. But let's take this one step further. What about fire? Mr. Who's the Boss.
We made a dream phone for him too.
Anyway, he made a short a couple years ago, fireproofing a phone by cutting up a document protector and sticking it to the back, which got us thinking, could we use a material like that to protect Speed's dream phone from any future firework related antics? We considered using 3 materials, glass fiber, carbon fiber, and Kevlar, but they've all got their own funny little quirks. Carbon is super strong, but can be brittle and conducts electricity. Glass fiber is strong and cheap, but much heavier than the other 2, which leaves us with one option, Kevlar. The main weakness of any of them though is likely to be the matrix. No, not that kind of matrix. This refers to the glue that holds the fiber layers together. This is usually an epoxy layer that the fibers are embedded in, but with a heat resistant epoxy, this phone should be strong enough to endure limited exposure. But what about that pesky weak point I mentioned earlier? As we're detaching the front segment, that break in the screen becomes a bezel, so it doesn't need to loop around the outside. Then that second hinge is just like a normal folding phone, keeping all that sand and nice and cozy on the inside. Ooh, aren't you nice and cozy boys? And on that topic, armor. With the kind of stunts that Speed attempts on his stream, it would suck tremendously if his phone couldn't survive a few knocks or a drop to the floor. So we've reinforced the corners with TPE, or thermoplastic elastomer.
Elastomer.
Basically, a softer plastic that helps absorb impacts. This stuff's used everywhere from medical devices to military equipment, so it's sure to do the job. Given that money is no object, we splashed out on some titanium midframes to maximise strength without weighing him down. As we learned from a previous episode, these midframes cost about $45 each, and we've got 3 of them, setting us back another $135. And we've not even talked about connectivity yet. Speed is famous for streaming from all over the shop. He said he eventually wants to do a stream in every country in the world.
My goal one day is to travel to every country, is to do a stream at every country one day.
So staying connected while on the move is critical. A good place to start for Speed's need for speedy internet
Rob, maybe put that in.
is eSIM. For most people traveling around, it makes things easier to switch between service providers, which is ideal when you're moving country and you don't have to fiddle with that little SIM tray.
Little bastard SIM tray.
So why isn't it more common? Well, when it comes to features, the dollars needed to include eSIM are better spent elsewhere, like NFC for example, a feature far more users are likely to use. eSIM is then saved for the flagship devices, when you have a little bit more cash to splash, like a dream phone. For Speed's IRL streams, his camera person uses a live view box and hooks it up to a Sony FX3 mirrorless camera. This box contains hardware for encoding footage, as well as high-powered antenna alongside a bunch of complicated networking tech that uses multiple SIM cards to maintain a strong connection while moving around. Basically, it shrinks the video size down in real time and sends it with a super strong signal. The secret sauce though is the software. It can transition seamlessly between multiple service providers to give you the smoothest feed. So if one hits a dead zone, the others are ready to pick up the slack. That's great and all, but sometimes a professional camera can be a little too bulky to carry around. Which begs the question, could a phone do all this? It would require extra antenna, a beefier encoding capability, additional SIM card ports to ensure a solid network connection, and a whole lot of software wizardry to keep the feed seamless while potentially using multiple networks. We asked the technical team about the cost of including all this, and for the first time in this series, they said, calm down, it's not possible.
Not gonna lie, I think we might have pushed them a bit far with the removable screen.
We did manage to find a workaround though, so we've included USB 4 and a wonderful little USB-C dongle. This is so the phone could be hooked up to an external device like the Live View box to do all the heavy lifting. And how much for this dongle? $2. Plus some more for R&D, but I'll get to that in a minute. So we may have failed at building an all-in-one streaming device, but with the technology we have access to today, we're kind of pushing it. And with those last elements, let's break down the cost. We've done a few of these now, so we won't go through absolutely everything, just the bits unique to this phone, and we'll show the full list of costs on screen in a moment. As mentioned earlier, this phone's going to have 2 chipsets, 2 hinges, a bunch of cameras, and a whole array of other features. All added up, the final BOM price clocks in at a pretty hefty $1,838.50. Now that's a lot, but it doesn't sound impossible. After all, Aaron was spending around that on his phone. But hold up, we haven't accounted for R&D yet, and good lord, developing a phone like this, it's not cheap. We consulted our experts here at Nothing, and they reckon that to develop a tri-fold modular smartphone, it costs roughly $50 million.
Now, it's more than double what MKBHD's phone cost, and we're not even done yet.
Developing a modular camera system would cost another $5 million, and adding a sprinkle of salt in the financial wound, connectivity dongle would cost a measly 10K on top. That brings our total R&D spend to $55 million and $10,000. So the total, including the BOM, is $55,011,838.50. Now, when it came to the design, we really only had a couple of one-piece screenshots and his merch to go off of, but we took that in our stride and we're pretty happy with the results. Now, what are we getting for that boatload of cash? Well, it's time for the final reveal. I reckon we got our money's worth, and hopefully it would meet all of Speed's needs if it were real. We're just not. Bye. But what about that exciting update?
We've teamed up with Subtle Computing to greatly improve the essential space speech pickup on Headphone 1, significantly increasing the accuracy of your audio transcriptions. Here's Tyler to tell you more.
Headphones have always been designed for listening, right? You want them to sound amazing. But why not for voice input, right? Shouldn't you sound amazing on your headphones? So at Subtle Computing, we train voice machine learning models that hear only your voice and nothing else, even when there's a ton of background noise or other people chatting nearby. We worked with the Nothing team to train a model from scratch for the Headphone 1 to make it way more accurate in the real world. Let's go try it out.
All right, 15, I'm making a lot of noise around me.
but the subtle voice engine just hears me and not the people that are yelling into my ears.
To access the upgrade, be sure to update your Headphone 1 using the Nothing X app, and a special thank you to Tyler and the team at Subtle Computing for making this happen. See you around. Bye. Oh!